It can be contracted because basically, long story short, it can be contracted through sweat, but because of your pores. But the the way that you would raise the likeliness of that happening, somebody would need to like profusely fucking like sweat on you.
You'd have to have it to that point where it's just like pouring.
But it, I mean, not necessarily. I know what you mean by saying that. Not necessarily pouring, but like sweating. Like for perfect example, like when you have sex, you sweat.
That deep sweat. Yeah.
So that would be enough to, where you could get it or whatever.
And we're back here on May
29th.
29th, a good Friday indeed, 2020, just in case you're wondering. I have not taken up the cowboy look, still covering the face when we go outside, more for your benefit than mine, same reason I smoke weed, so it don't get the angry. We are, episode 101, so we're going to teach some class here today, I guess. Welcome to Bouncing Brains. I'm Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G. You sexy motherfuckers.
You're assuming a lot there, Freddy. A lot.
I was just talking to the people watching this shit in their drawers and shit. And that's including ladies, too. Sorry, that's just part of my fantasy. No.
Now I'm just picturing some stone chick going like, oh shit, they can see me.
Yeah, exactly. I see their purple.
Started out as pink, but weird things have happened.
Oh, hell no. God, I'm just fucked up my mental picture. Never mind.
You know what, man? I kind of want to... you good to talk about what we were talking about before we started rolling?
Yeah. I wasn't planning to, but we can.
I'm just curious where... because there's a lot of things you haven't read. I know this is going to be the third episode running. We've kind of talked about this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Well, I mean, I don't care.
I'm good to touch on some quick stuff and move along because I got some stuff I do kind of want to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we can talk about it again or we can continue talking about it because it's still a real big matter or whatever.
I only touched back on it because I had not heard that. You said that you'd come across something that said sweat.
So I came across an article, and I cannot remember where it was from, but I can tell you how I came across it. I was reading another article on Runner's World. Excuse me, I didn't want to burp on the mic. I came across another article on Runner's World on health and stamina, endurance, and shit like that. And then I came across the one article where and I mean in the article it does break down the science of it. Like there's science behind it and whatnot. Now I'm not a fucking medical professional and I'm not a scientist, but what I read did make sense is what I'm trying to say. So basically, long story short, you can also contract the virus through your sweat matter, if I can call it that. I don't know if that's even a thing that you call, but through your sweat, basically. So the gist of the article was, and like I said, I'm gonna keep this very short and sweet because I don't remember a lot of the details or whatever, but the gist was that basically if you were to sweat profusely on somebody, the likeliness, and of course you already have to be positive for the virus or whatever, but the likeliness of the other person contracting that virus through like profuse sweat is very highly. And the reason being, and again, like there's science behind it, but I don't remember the details, but the reason being basically is because you have pores, we have pores all over our bodies. So it basically seeps through your pores. Now, small drops of sweat you wouldn't really have to worry about. It's just said like with profuse sweat.
All right, Freddie, before you dig this any deeper, man, I just did a quick Google search, man.
Yeah.
The sweating seems to be a good indicator of, say, somebody who's dealing with the like on and off again fever that you would get from an infection. But at least the one bit from John Hopkins from the 20th of I believe that may have been May. I have to go back and look at it, but they're saying that is not the case.
So you can't get it from sweat.
Yeah. But I find what you're saying curious because you were saying that you had come across something where someone was making that argument as far as the UFC went.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that may have also been a large part of the argument against opening the gyms. Like I would have automatically off the top just assumed it was because if somebody's what's the word? Aspirating.
Yeah.
That's not the right word. Breathing heavily.
Yeah.
They're really kind of pumping the bellows. You don't want all that in the air, but if there was stuff out there that was either claiming or maybe there was some study, like, somebody uses like one study and it goes, well, this thing can be passed through that.
Well, that's kind of where I was going. So that's what I was going to say. Basically, they were saying that like it was through profuse sweat and basically it would soak up through your pores and then eventually it goes into your body and so on and so forth.
Okay, but let me ask you
this.
What
I was going to say was, but the article that I did remember reading was that was just from a small study that was currently being made and it was still in the process. But it did say at the end of the article that it couldn't be a concrete, basically they were saying that their studies were still inconclusive because there was not enough evidence, but that in the small study that they had already conducted, that's basically where it was pointing. And I just found it very, 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 what's the fucking word? Very
convincing. Like
not convincing, but attract. That's not the right word that I want to use, but the article I found
kind of resonated with you.
Yeah, because like me and another friend, which I'm not gonna name her name because I think she has watched episodes of this.
I wasn't gonna ask you to tell that, like get into that.
Oh, I mean I don't mind. I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about the whole sex thing, having sex, and we talked about contracting the virus through sex. And she was like, well, I mean, as long as I don't kiss the person, I should be fine. And then I started explaining, what I read, and she completely freaked the fuck out. And she was like, oh my God, it's fucking true. It's true. Like you do sweat during sex. And same thing. Like when I was reading it, I'll be honest, when I was reading the article, sex was the first thing that clicked in my mind.
Well, let me ask you this, because you did say, when we were talking about on the last episode, you were saying like your caution was already pretty fucking maxed out after the bits about like the younger people that were getting the infections and all that.
and dying. Yeah.
So, I mean, give you a little bit, because like I said, man, I couldn't come across anything there, and since I wasn't, because I was expecting to at least find something. Like I said, that angle hadn't occurred to me, and nothing I had touched on, I had come across had touched on that. So I'm wondering if that was one of those things, because people were just kind of throwing stuff out there early. If
that's another thing that I wanted to say, people, for the ones that are watching and listening. I don't even know how to say this without. This is not a rumor. Don't take it from me. I'm just trying to explain something. That's the other thing, that whatever you read at this point, till this day, on May 29th, 2020, you have to keep it, even if it comes from the CDC, if it comes from those other fuckers, I forgot the other...
World Health Organization.
That shit. You have to understand that till this day, honestly... And you can hate me for what I'm about to say, but honestly, they still don't know exactly a lot of shit in regards to the virus itself. Now they're very sure, and they're leading towards concrete evidence that it is transmitted through saliva particles or blood and shit like that, and that it's not airborne. But I mean, as far as other things. Like nobody really knows because it's still a big ass study in progress. That's the other reason as into why that article that I read as far as the sweating and the sex and shit. Well, I mean the sweating and then the conversation I had about sex.
Yeah.
That like I couldn't, and like I said in that article, I wish I could pull it up again, but I don't want to waste my time on air looking for it. But like the in the article, it actually did break down like how it was that they came to that, and it made sense. And the only thing that I do remember clearly is them saying because your body is full of pores and you sweat profusely, it travels through the sweat, and the sweat can seep through your pores, basically.
The bit that would kind of immediately I'd be questioning about would be, and let's think of this more as a breakdown of like how you're coming at the argument. Like I said, man, you're coming at it from you're already on kind of heightened alert. Somebody's telling you, like, you still haven't gone back to the gym, right?
Oh no, I went back. I had a great workout today because I had to go. My anxiety.
The anxiety's coming down.
Yes and no.
To keep your heart rate up while you're in there?
Yeah, what I was saying was, that's what I was going to say. Like, my anxiety at night has been through the roof to the point that I can't sleep. So I just had to head back on, to the gym, man, because, I've tried walking and fast walking, and that shit does not work. And I'll be honest with you, at night I was going crazy, and it was either the gym or do drugs, and the crack dealer is not, doesn't trust me very well either. They're trying not to catch this shit either, so I'm kidding, I don't do crack. But yeah, so I went back to the gym and everything, but you can't. That's something that I did respect and I did like about the gym. Two things. They don't let you walk in without gloves. You have to take your own gloves. Because basically the gist of everything is they don't want you fucking touching all the shit with your bare hands or shit like that. Second thing is I did see like there's people cleaning the gym and around the machines and the machines themselves, they're like I'm not going to say constantly, but they're cleaning them very often. So something that I did pay attention to and I did catch.
They're more mindful of it now than they were before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing that really did catch my attention was that it looked like they were cleaning every machine that was in use like every hour. It looked like every hour.
Okay.
Because I was there for about an hour and a half. So it looked like every hour they would go and wipe down the whole machine. And they would move to another one. And they did have quite a few people. And then they have other people that are just watching machines, and then you yourself, before you use the machine, you have to wipe it down. And then you have to wipe it down when you're done with it.
Okay.
So and if you don't do it, cause I saw them tell somebody in front of me.
Right.
They were kind of far away. But I saw one of the gentlemen tell the other guy, he was like, "Hey man, you can't use it without cleaning."
Well, let me ask you this: are they providing? Are they putting infrastructure in as far as like say like a towel dispenser and like?
Oh
a trash
yeah,
can?
for sure. There's a shitload of disinfectant and
all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they got
There's not just some ubiquitous like wipe it down, and you're kind of going, well, what the fuck you want me to wipe it down with?
Yeah, no. They got plenty of paper towels. They got plenty of disinfectant. They have bottles of disinfectant like everywhere. And so they did definitely stock up on that. So, but I did notice that they will not let you use the machine if you don't wipe it down before, and then before you leave that machine, you have to wipe it down after.
To be honest, man, that's having had the discussion and having used at least a few gym facilities of various, like be it the old garage gym, as the hotel gym, all that, man, like. The discipline of like actually going in there, it's almost like when I know you said you did boxing, man. Like, did you have to do like the, clean the gear, fucking, maintain the facility, that kind of shit? Or what kind of, doesn't matter, man. But I'm saying like that practice, like with martial arts and shit like that, where you come in and it's like, okay, you gotta like, sweep, reset the chairs, whatever the fuck it is.
I mean, what people don't understand, and it's crazy that we have to explain this in 2020, but the way I was brought up when I was growing up, it was part of hygiene. Like, people
cleaning the equipment?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like people think that just because they tell you as a person to take care of yourself, your own hygiene, like they don't understand that part of your hygiene is also what the fuck you leave behind. So like when I was growing up, my mom always told me, you clean up after yourself. And when she said you clean up after yourself, she didn't just mean like just pick up your shit and go. She's like, pick up, you wipe down wherever the fuck you were, and then you keep it moving. But I understand. And I mean, y'all can say whatever you want about me, but I do understand that in today's generation, from the shit that I've seen, they have no comprehension of cleaning.
Don't put it on them poor Zoomers, man. Because to be honest, man, I remember like coming to the realization, like at some point, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up an only kid, you know what I mean? So like I had my reference and my friends' references, but then like when you start like, doing various things, okay, we're going over here, we're going over there, like I've crashed on a few people's couches, yada yada, that shit, and you see the motherfucker who looks like he's put together, you know what I mean, done stink, clothes are clean and ironed and shit, and then you go in their fucking like domicile and it's like ugh, man, like you have no, like, it's almost all this like, oh well, I keep myself clean. It's like, yeah, but you don't keep your environment clean, man, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was saying, that still goes back, like the way I was brought up is that like your environment is kind of your part of your hygiene as well. Now that's the other thing that I was going to say. I'm the perfect example. Meaning that I'm not a germaphobe, and that can be a bad thing. But what I was going to say was, I'm not the cleanest person in the world. If y'all would fucking see and hear, y'all see what I mean. But what I can say is that I'm as crazy as it may sound, like I'm clean enough. Meaning that I wash my hands when I go to the restroom. I wipe shit down if I know that other people are gonna use it and I'm not talking about the gym. I'm just talking about like even if I go to somebody else's house or whatever, I wipe my hands, I wipe my mouth and make sure because you don't want to go and sit somewhere and it's like dirty or wet or damp, because it's dirty, So, but I've noticed that the simplest shit like that, like people don't do. I've seen, like I said, I've been to a shitload of public bathrooms and I've seen countless fucking people walk out of there without touching the fucking sink. So, and it's nasty. I'm curious to know. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is, because like there is men, there's women as well. But ladies, I'm curious to know, like, how many times out of 10 do you go to the restroom and there's bitches that don't wash their hand before they walk out? I'd really like to know that.
Having had to clean at least a couple of public restrooms, like, what's the word? Non-gendered, multi-gender, whatever.
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
Unisex. There's the word I'm looking for. Having to clean.
I was about to say, trannies now have their own fucking restroom. Shit.
No, the unisex bathroom. You know what I mean? Like it's where it's just a toilet and a door, and that's everybody goes there. Having had to clean at least a couple of those, and having been told horror stories, man. Like, yeah, I mean, first of all, they got way more going on that just could be ignored. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shouldn't be ignored. Like you would think. I don't know if you ever heard that joke I have about circumcision. any woman that comes to me talking about how, well, it's cleaner, it's like, Jesus, bitch, I don't know how you survived your first menstruation. It's like, if your first instinct for a dirty body part is to grab a knife.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, don't worry, folks, I wasn't going to use that joke on stage anymore anyway. But yeah, man, people are just kind of, I don't know. They're just like, it's out there. Like, they figure if they can't see it, like, it's not a thing.
Yeah, and I do understand that as well.
But
now keep in mind, people. Just last point on that cleanliness part, I guess. At the end of the day, just like the flu and just like whatever other fucking virus except for AIDS and shit like that. Any virus is not transmitted through only blood and shit like that is what I'm saying. But like the flu and everything else, at the end of the day, like I've said many times before, if you're gonna get it, if you're gonna catch it, you're gonna catch it. Unfortunately, there's no way around it.
Well, more importantly, like at this point, you better assume that you're going to catch it, and you just like it's like the flu at this point. Like, yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's probably nobody listening to this fucking podcast who hasn't had the flu, at least at one point in your life.
Hey,
it may
man,
have been a few years.
You want me to be honest with you?
You try and tell me you never had the flu.
I'm 33 years old, and I've been tested. Well, I mean, when you go, you know how you get the common cold?
Right.
But it lasts for like 3 days, 4 days, and then you're like, oh shit, well, let me go to the doctor. So I've done that, I want to say, a total of maybe 7 or 8 times in my lifetime. Having a common cold and going to the doctor because, hey, this shit's not going away. So I don't know about y'all, but every time that I've gone, one of the first things that they do is they test you for strep, and then they test you to see if you have the flu. So anyway, what I'm trying to say, in all of my years of my life that I can remember, and through talks with like my mother and stuff like that, I've never had the flu. Like I've had a really bad common cold with a fever and shit like that.
Okay.
But it was never, and like I said, I went to the doctor.
Well, okay, let's back it up then. Fuck it. Let's say the cold. It's called common for a fucking reason. You know what I'm saying? Like a respiratory infection with, the fever, the chills, possibly the nausea, the diarrhea, yada, yada, the full fucking package. You know what I mean? Yeah. The one where you're sitting there going like, fuck, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, just ended already. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's a bit extreme.
So you've had the flu? The flu, not the common cold.
To be honest, I had quite a few respiratory infections when I was younger. I don't know if any of them ever came out positive.
So the flu is considered a respiratory infection?
The flu is a respiratory infection.
Okay, there you go, people. I thought the flu, well, I mean, I know it's a virus, but I thought it was just a virus that you got that just basically amplified this, like what the common cold was, which I understand that's probably right. But I did not know that it was. I
could be off on this, but I'm pretty sure the influenza virus is in the same family as like the COVID. I think the COVID is the family of virus, and then the corona is like the specific. I could be wrong on that. It's like SARS and all that.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, just, like I said, there you go to see like how ignorant I am to the flu. I'm being completely honest. I did not. I thought it was a virus that just caused like those symptoms. I did not know that it was a respiratory infection.
Okay. Well, I mean, and to be fair, man, I'd say I've only gone in for like medical treatment for maybe I'm going to give an inflated number, even maybe 10% of the times I've ever gotten sick in my life. I've actually gone in and gotten like treatment. Usually,
me too.
Stay home, maybe some aspirin to help kill the fever if it's real extreme. But for the most part, it's lots of liquid and, hunkered down under the blankets for 3 or 4 days or whatever it is.
And like I said, me too. Like the only times that I've gone to like the doctor was when, and that's what I'm telling you. I remember the only times that I really went to the doctor because it was like, oh shit, let me just go make sure nothing is really wrong, was because like my fever was at like 103 and 104, and it would stay between 104 and 102, and it wouldn't really come down for like 2 or 3 days. So, and the sweats and the shivers and all that shit. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I felt like shit, but I didn't feel like I was gonna die or anything. But because the fever never came down, so I just went to the doctor. I went to the doctor to make sure everything was okay.
Yeah, I get you.
But I mean, outside of that, I was like you know, you just stay home, stick it out, drink Gatorade, eat a banana, and you're good.
Yeah, man. But where I was trying to get with that, man, is like you, like, look, you don't assume you're going to get sick from, a common disease, whether it's the cold or whatever it is, man. You know what I mean? You don't assume you're going to get, fucking athlete's foot. You just take minor precautions along the way. And if you find your foot itches a little bit, you fucking treat it as you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I kind of go back to what I've been saying throughout these 2 episodes or 3 episodes or whatever. The only thing, going back to what you said earlier about, why my anxiety's heightened over this, is just, like I said in the first episode that we talked about this, it's just a simple fact that you can die from this shit. And I get it. Cause I'm getting tired of hearing it. I fucking understand that you can die from the flu too. I get it. I'm not saying you can't.
Well, you can die from a bad case of food poisoning.
That's what I'm saying. But what I'm telling those people that tell me that is as far, again, we don't really know yet, but as far as from what we're finding, it seems like your risk of dying and the time frame of you dying from this shit is a lot quicker. Which, in my point of view, in my unprofessional point of view,
Okay.
it feels like the likeliness of somebody dying from this shit is higher than the other shit that we're used to seeing. So, that's where the heightened sense of, and then the other thing that doesn't help is the fact that I have a kid, and so let's take that out of the equation, right? Let's say that I get it and I don't die, I survive it. Woohoo, that's awesome. But I also do have a kid, and my other fear is, like any other parent, is because I have it, I'm gonna interact with my kid, and I'm gonna give it to my kid. Which I don't know if I dropped this fun fact in any of these 2 or 3 episodes that we've been talking about it. I think I did. Did I mention that my kid got the coronavirus? No?
You said something like that, man, but it may, I think when we had the conversation, the timeline that you were talking about was what she probably got was, probably more like the SARS, something like that. It was not it wouldn't be COVID-19.
Oh, no. Well, that's what I was saying. So, cause this COVID-19 is, what do they call it? A novel, right? It's newer, whatever. But yeah, what I was saying is that my kid got a strain of coronavirus,
right,
when she was 8 months old, and not only did she get coronavirus, but she got 2 respiratory viruses at the same time.
She got like one, and another one just piggybacked on
there.
Yeah.
So she got the coronavirus.
And to be fair, that's really where the fear is for like the older adults and shit, or even healthy. Like, if you've got, because here's the thing, man, like you can walk around with like a mild respiratory infection, and if something else comes in while your lungs are weak and hits it, that's going to be.
So I remembered something else. Now, forgive me. I'm stupid. I don't retain information very well. But another thing that I wanted to touch on, I'm probably going to come back and explain this more thoroughly when I reconfirm again. But I was talking to a nurse, like a real registered nurse. And she was actually explaining to me that they're figuring out now, like a lot of the people that died or that really had serious problems was like overweight people, obese people, fat people, right? And it was, yes, because they were overweight and they had heart problems and so on. But the reason I bring that up is because,
Too many of y'all fat fucks.
no, she explained, again, science. It's like, and science at this point is what you wanna pay attention to.
Just to inject some levity in here, and I'm trying to remember, I believe it was, fucking the, Part of the Problem podcast. They had a great line on there. They were talking about some of the hospital staff that had come out and talked about the inflated numbers, whether or not any of that's been confirmed, I don't know, but they were talking about, like, somebody dies in a car crash, but they test positive for COVID. They count it as a COVID death type of thing.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Okay, great fucking line. It was like, well, if that's the new precedent, like, I think anybody who dies while morbidly obese should be labeled as fat fuckery as cause of death. And just, it was, sorry, that line just, like, stuck with me in the sense that, like, there is a weird little dynamic that's happening here where people are, again, I'm kind of mostly on the, I think we're going to be all right side of this, but very open to the doom, gloom, paranoia, and utter destruction scenario. It's going to be hard to be a warlord in a Mad Max post-apocalyptic society if you got to keep wearing a mask, though that might explain humongous. I don't know, man. I was going to say the bit that I think where my anxiety kind of finally broke was for a long while they were, and this came up when we were talking about just like common stuff. This thought came to me. I don't know if you've seen that number where malaria has killed more human beings than anything else.
Yeah, I heard somebody said that.
Part of the issue with malaria, as far as I understand, is that it's one of those diseases where if you catch it multiple times, your body can have a heightened reaction. Instead of your body going like, oh, I've fought this before, and being able to deal with it quickly and easily, your body, there's a almost like a meltdown type reaction where your immune system can't function on it and starts attacking itself, and you just get increased problems. So, but that was the fear for a while because they were getting people, when they first started talking about people getting reinfected, they were saying some of the people who got reinfected were coming back worse than they were before. And the numbers seem to show, again, we are not medical professionals. You should do your own deep dive on this. Consider this only suggestions for thought. But the numbers that I've seen seem to indicate that it was the increased viral load, where if you got sick early, you had enough of a reaction that you went into the hospital, you were treated, came out okay, but then when you came back out, you're dealing with a lot more people, say, already in the lockdown type of scenario. You're going back into a household that may have already been infected. You're getting more of a viral load, and then you're coming back worse.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're already susceptible to the first infection, yada, yada. So when it stopped looking like it was going to be the fact that the reinfection would be even worse, that does not seem to be the typical scenario. I think that was really the point where I went, okay, this is where I kind of came to pieces. I've said before on this, on the 2 episodes we've already done about this, I made peace that we have a new friend that's along for the ride, a bit of an asshole. Takes,
And right now, I was actually because I remember that we were texting at one point, and I was looking through our conversation to see if I could find the explanation that she gave me to what I was going to say, but the fucking conversation's too long, and I didn't want to spend my time scrolling. So, but anyway, what I wanted to say with the fat people or whatever. And again, I'm butchering this down. I'm either going to ask her again, or I'm going to and I'll make sure that I'll pay thorough attention this time. But basically with fat people, because they're fat, and I'm not being a dick. That's actually because they are fat. That's the reason. Because they're fat and fat is fat. That's the best way I can put it. They're figuring out that the virus finds a molecule in human fat that it latches onto. So then when it latches onto, it basically, again, because of fat, it starts to like eat away at the fat, and then it starts to spread and multiply through like their fat, and then it produces the virus through fat produces another like molecule or another shit, I don't know what to call it, where it makes it more deadly and amplified, basically.
Okay.
So that's what she was explaining to me, like, and again, she explained it like with science behind it and the who and the why and so on and so forth. So the reason why I say that was one reason. That's why literally fat people are the ones that like are higher at risk. The other reason why I bring that up is because, again, this virus is new, so then you would think, right? I'm fat, so I'm higher at risk, so on and so forth. So you would think if I'm skinny and muscular and in shape, I have a better chance. I used to think that. Wrong. So if y'all haven't read or watched the Michael Youll story, that he caught it and he's a very athletic person and stuff, and he went through hell and back through that shit. So that same molecule that it produces, through the fat and like fat people, so it does the same thing with muscle. Like if you have like really big muscle, it does the same thing, but it creates some other type of I don't know what the fuck to call it. And she gave me the name. There's a specific name for the shit that it creates, and basically that shit, because you don't have fat and you only have muscle, it starts to eat away at your muscle, and viruses. I'm remembering now. Viruses can break down muscle a lot quicker because it's less than the abundance of fat. Okay. So then it drives into your bloodstream quicker, and then it starts attacking your cells and so on and so forth. But it's because I need to remember the fucking, like, she gave me the 2 different fucking names of the shit that it produces. I'm tempted to ask her right now, but I'm pretty sure she's busy and she's not gonna reply right now.
Yeah, but, man, this is nothing that I've come across, man.
Yeah, and again, this is actually shit that she just told me today off a conversation that we had today. I'll probably see, but we have to wait another fucking week anyway. I was gonna say I'll probably talk to her again today just so that she can re-explain that shit to me, and I'll come back with a more full-fledged like explanation to that. Cause I even asked her if she was willing to come on and explain this shit. Cause like I said, she really knows like what she's talking about, and the way she explained it to me, like she really understands it. But she denied my invitation because she's camera and microphone shy.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's, and maybe I shouldn't have said any of that shit until I had a full-fledged fucking actual understanding of it. But yeah, like I said, the way she was just explaining that shit, it was just, it made a lot of sense. But I still go back to what I said earlier. Even a lot of us, even like the medical professionals, this whole virus shit is still developing, so they don't know a lot of the things yet to kind of, what's the word, to kind of alleviate the situation here. I discovered, well, for me, pretty sure other motherfuckers already knew, but fun fact that I discovered yesterday, I did not know I did not know that in all of human history, for the times that humans have been alive and existed, the human mind and human people like you and me, like professional, well, not like you and me, but medical professionals and scientists and anatomy experts and shit like that. I didn't know that they only have studied and only understand 2% of the DNA. What do you call it? DNA. What's the word?
Like the sequencing?
No. There's a word that encompasses everything. DNA genome. Is that?
Oh, the human genome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fun fact.
Well, they've only had the human genome sequenced for 15, 18 years, maybe at the most. It was only.
I think it was more. I think it's been 25.
No. Because I remember this very clearly because I was fascinated by this growing up. I actually got to go to a real fascinating talk about like gene sequencing and the possibilities for say, what's the word? The word escapes me, but basically making your own, like sequencing your own genes for like your kids or something like that. When I was in junior high, it was fascinating talk. But they were talking about like the movie Gattaca and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was sometime in the early 2000s. They finished sequencing the genome, but they only have a vague idea of what that 2%
what it
does.
Is.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, if that's not astounding to you, I mean, it is to me. And the reason that I base that off of is that motherfuckers today have learned how to print out guns out of a machine, but they don't understand the human DNA.
Well, dude,
and we've existed for.
Are you familiar
years.
with CRISPR?
Who?
CRISPR.
No.
That's an acronym. I can't remember. It's CSPR. Anyway, something like that. But the idea is you can basically 3D print, like I believe it's RNA sequences. So you basically print out like little, like what RNA does is it unbinds DNA and then recombines it with whatever the instructions are on the RNA.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of that. I don't know that's what
Well,
it's
that's
called.
basically how your body replicates cells, and then there's a whole.
I got this off a documentary, by the way, just so y'all know where I got that 2% and but they didn't know.
Well, with this whole CRISPR thing, you can basically, if I'm understanding this right, if anybody's listening to this and they know more about CRISPR, by all means, call me a fool. But my understanding is you're basically creating these little RNA sequences and then like injecting them into themselves, so you can like people are fucking with their own genome sequence. Now, here's the thing: it takes time for that one little RNA sequence to actually have any kind of effect. But there are walking fucking laboratories, out there right now with shit going on. They don't even know what the results are going to be, type of shit. The Chinese have claimed to have done all kinds of crazy shit with this stuff. So take the idea that we only have an idea of what 2% of it, like we have we are pretty certain that we know what that 2% does.
Yeah.
And motherfuckers are out here playing around with just that other 98% like the Wild West, man. They're just doing all kinds of shit.
I just thought it was very interesting because like off of that documentary that I was watching, they were saying that if they had the ability, because they do, but I'm not gonna get into that. Like they said that basically if somebody really did study the other 98% or whatever and really would even get the slightest idea of like what it is or whatever, that they could probably find how to figure out like different cures for like different shit and how to modify shit and stuff like that. Right. And then you have the other side, meaning like of another spectrum of people that say, and they were talking about this in the documentary as well, that say that the reason that gets to be a slippery slope, that other side, is because they're not sure if they want to play God with the human DNA. You know what I'm saying? Well, so I mean, I understand that.
Did they go into the whole aspect of like, there's at least one idea that the vast majority of the rest of that DNA is not even like it's not stuff that's active. It's like on and off. Like think about it like a circuit box.
They went into that.
Yeah, and that whole idea that like,
but they were saying that they don't even know. They don't even know
that's just
if it's active or not active, or
Yeah.
if they don't. They
because
haven't
it could be like
enough.
different sequences of genes, and if like these two are on, this one's off, then you get this result. If these, you know what I mean? That's how the idea behind like epigenetics is that it's not necessarily like the reason we don't see, you always hear and I know we've kind of had this discussion, man, but like the reason you don't see like evolution in action, like why aren't these creatures changing? It's like, well, what we have right now is the result of so much fucking like DNA information that rather than like our kids coming out completely different, it's just that like, okay, like your grandparents say went through the Great Depression, right? So limited nutrition for long periods of time. Well, you as their grandchild probably have some results. Like I think they were saying the grandchildren, because I don't think it was the children. I think it was the grandchildren of people who have gone through starvation periods, famine, are more likely to retain body fat, and they don't know why. It's just one of those things. There's like dietary type of stuff, like the whole thing about like what do you call it? The Inuits. They have vascular like differences as far as like their limbs won't like what do you call it? Lose circulation in very low temperature. I think it was their pancreas is more adapted to high fat like diets, like really fucking rich diets, because that's what a lot of the diet is up there. It's various stuff like that where you find these populations where you're going like, wow, that's kind of weird. And the idea is when you start looking at this, what it might be is just that their sequencing is on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got, at some point a population gets to a new place and it goes, shit, we need a thing. And as the kids are getting born, the body is just going, I don't have enough potassium, click, click, click. And now all of a sudden, whatever. We don't know how that works really, but that's kind of, I find that to be a fascinating idea.
That's the vague idea, which, and this is the part of the conversation where I shit on half of the population, but, which just this short, uneducated part of the conversation, if you want to put it that way, because we're not professionals. But just with the little bit that we've talked about and what we've explained from the DNA and shit like that and all of that shit, this is exactly why I cannot wrap my head around the fact that you want me to believe that we came from some fucking explosion in the sky. So, fuck you with that, along with the flat earthers and...
Technically, the explosion, in the theory, the explosion created the sky. The sky did not exist beforehand.
Well, sorry, I fucked up your theory, even though it was already fucked up. But yeah, I mean, I'm being honest. Yeah. I mean, if people want to believe that, that's fine. You have a reason as to why you want to believe that. But the only reason the only reason I brought that point up is because the fascinating, dynamic, characteristics of not even human DNA period, animal DNA, anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fascinating. And I that's why I believe that some being, I'm not saying human being, I'm just saying that some being created this DNA. That's why I can't wrap my head around of, like, this shit came and it evolved from some explosion somewhere and then everything came to be into this beautiful thing that we call world. Shit like
I just want to throw this little factoid out there because I came across it, and it's one of those things that it's like some institute somewhere was doing some observation and came across something where it's like, what the fuck? Either either our instrument is broke or there's some shit we're not understanding here. But basically, they think they found a star that is 200 million years older than the universe, than the projected. Like, so basically, if you're putting the 14 billion years, like, this thing is just like 200 million years older than that, and they don't know why that, like, measurement, because you can, what they're basing the measurement for the 14 billion years is the background radiation, right?
Yeah.
Though I also came across something that says that the speed of the background radiation or the frequency is not homogeneous across. Which, again, you get into the idea that there may have been something there before there was anything, before our thing was here. So it's like, you know, you got to push a bunch of stuff out of the side, only if you got a bunch of big stuff, you know, maybe there was another universe sitting over here. So instead of getting a nice round bubble, you get this weird little warped. It's kind of like, have you ever seen the gravitational maps of Earth where it's just this weird lumpy fucking, you're like, so much for the big blue marble. But yeah, man, look, I'll fuck with you all day long, Freddy. The idea of the red-fisted monkey progenitor just kind of does something to the soul. But hey, man, that's me.
Like I said, it's just the way, and that's all I base it on. You know, the way DNA was created or is formed, just the way the human body works. Another thing that astounds me a lot that is just crazy to me, and we see it like it's nothing because we've gotten so used to seeing it over the years. But think about it. Think about it, like, because I've done it. I've thought about it like deep in thought. The body's natural ability of just self-healing. When you cut yourself, you can leave that cut alone. And I want to say 85% of the time, if you leave it alone, just no medicine, no nothing, it's going to heal itself with no problem. Now, the only thing I'm pointing at the finger at here is the fact that it's going to heal itself by itself. Now, if you want to go into detail, which I'm not, but if you want to go into detail, I understand the reproduction of cells in your body, and you're constantly reproducing cells, and that's how skin is built again, and that's why you get a scab and you get brand new cells. I get all of that. I understand the science behind it because science is real too. But my only point is I don't think people grasp the actual thought of like what self-healing is. Now, granted, there is shit. We were talking about the common cold. We were talking about viruses and shit.
Right.
There is shit that your body will help you fight off, but you need some assistance. You need antibiotics. And I understand that. But just like I said, the only thing I'm pointing at, I've gotten lost deep in thought before, just on the plain simple fact that your body is self-healing. And that within itself, when I really thought of like the root of that, like I was like, that's fucking amazing to me. It really is.
Don't get me wrong. The body's ability to be, like most organics, you know, the whole, you can cut an earthworm in half and you got two separate earthworms type of thing, man. It's fascinating as hell, but it's also kind of a prerequisite for any type of life. You know what I'm saying?
That's why, and there's no argument with that.
But I'm saying, like,
but I'm focusing on the point. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I get you, man. I get you.
So like for example, the things that as human beings, again, it goes back to the same thing, that we severely underappreciate because we're so used to them being there. But we don't realize, and this is something kind of different, but it was just, it just goes with the picture of the shit that I'm saying, that it fascinates me when you really think about it. Like shit that we severely underappreciate.
Yeah.
But that some people don't realize the importance of till they're gone. And they seem so simple.
Okay.
So like, for example, just breathing. Breathing is something, on your own with no assistance. You breathe in, you breathe out, right? But a lot of people, including myself, I used to like take it for granted, and you don't learn to really appreciate it until you can no longer breathe at all. Like either not breathe at all, and that you feel that you need it, and you fucking start turning purple. Like, oh shit, I really do need air. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, or to the point where you have to have assistance as far as like a machine or some shit to breathe because you can't breathe on your own, and like that shit that really gets me as well is just a simple fact that we can breathe on our own, and we like take that shit for granted.
Not to completely drag this in an opposite direction, but this is kind of pertinent. We're doing this on the 29th. All that shit in Minneapolis is going on right now. I don't know how far you've followed that.
I have.
You've seen a lot of comments out there from people talking about, I mean, the one that's getting the most derision, as it should, is the whole, you know, if you can talk, you can breathe fucking comment. And I've been strangled and I've been like choked, you know what I mean? A blood choke.
But I mean, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail about it with what I'm going to say, but because I do have very deep personal feelings about it. But just to that point that you said, okay, you can talk, you can breathe, right? I get that. And I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying what people are saying.
Well, that's why I'm making, to be clear, that's why I'm making the distinction between being strangled and being actually like a choke.
Okay.
Because like, the whole idea of like, if you can talk, you can breathe. Yeah. But if you actually go and look at that, what was happening is like blood vessels were being like, squeezed, and that.
See, and you went that far. I don't need to go that far. Again, we can, and that's what.
Don't get me wrong. I've like I said, I've always also been strangled, and there's that. If you limit just enough, it's like the whole. I don't know if you've ever had to like, wear a mask. You know what I mean? But like for like heavy duty work and shit, and like, I've come out of like, I did a deep clean on a warehouse one summer where it was like, you know, fucking inches of dust and shit. And we were in there with the painter's masks and rags on and shit, dripping fucking sweat. We got the blower going and shit. It was basically one of these where like you had to go, you know, walk across the warehouse and go outside like every 5 minutes or so to take it off, dude. And that fucking, more than a couple times, that walk across the warehouse was fucking like fucking shit. And it's that limiting of your breath is very much, an issue. So, I mean, if that was the direction you were going in as far as like just.
No, well, I wasn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, and it's cool that you went as far as deep as to think that, but that's the example that I was going to give. That I don't even have to go like that deep. My main thing is like, you can talk. If you can talk, you can breathe. That's a fact. 100%. I'm breathing, I'm talking. I can do that.
Right.
But if y'all want me to even like back it up with science, it's scientifically proven that the human body needs a certain percentage of oxygen in the body to function.
Right.
Which means that if at any point in time in your lifetime you do not have the minimal oxygen coming through your body, you will die. Which brings me to the point.
And again, just to point out, there are stages to that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So which brings me to the point of that particular situation. You don't have to be a medical professional. I think you can still be retarded and still figure this out. That gentleman clearly did not have because of what was happening, did not have the sufficient minimal oxygen to breathe properly and survive.
Mm.
So that's how I say that comment, and I'm not saying that you made that comment. I said whoever made that stupid ass comment, I don't even want to know.
The problem that if one person had said it, and you see it quoted from a bunch of different people, and you go, okay, that person's a fucking moron. But the quickness with which you see people just make these surface area comments, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
yeah,
and
I mean,
and
like,
granted, it might not be an original thought thing. It's very often they hear somebody say it.
But it's just that's why I said, like, whoever said it, it just comes to show you two things, man. And I feel strong enough and confident enough to say this. It just shows you how ignorant and how, okay, let me back that up. How much racism will even play into ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. We're in a free country, and you're more than welcome to disagree with me. You're more than welcome to do so. But I'm not gonna lay off the fact and back off the point that that murder happened. It was derived from racism. And I like one of the quotes that somebody put up. I don't know who it was, cause like I said, I'm only on Instagram. So somebody put a quote on Instagram that said, and it just slipped my mind right now. It said, I forgot. If I remember, and it did completely slip my mind right now. But if I remember, I'll say it at some point randomly, like if I have Tourette's, like I always do. But yeah, man, it was like, and like I said, I don't want to go too deep into it because I have my own personal feelings about it, and like I don't want to go off on a rant or anything.
If you'd like to hear us talking about police brutality, go listen to the vast majority of our podcasts. Somehow it always devolves into that. We are coming up on the first hour, by the way. So, I mean,
okay, no, just real quick, and just so I guess we can kind of end it on that, as far as that part of the topic of the conversation. It's just, man, at the end of the day, point blank period, down to the strip of the bare bone, the fact is that a human being died, and the fact is that I don't care if you're black, white, brown, yellow, whatever the fuck you color you are, you're a human being. You're a human being, man. And let's just say that the person was white for whatever reason, right? And the point here is the fact that the other person was a police officer, and it's a straight show of the abuse of power that somebody has when they wear that uniform. So my point is that whether you had been white, black, whatever it is, and you would have died in that way, I mean, that's just completely wrong. And what has always bothered me with everybody else that has died in that way is the fact that it takes so long to bring people to justice.
And that officer had been accused multiple times before of abuse of power.
And that officer, there is pictures online that you can Google right now. And that officer in the past, I don't know how far back, I don't know if he was a cop then, I don't know. But there is pictures where he was at KKK rallies.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Now, were they photoshopped when that came out? I don't know. But I did see somebody posted pictures of that particular person at KKK rallies and shit like that. So, it's one of those things, and I'll end it like this. If it smells like a duck, if it looked like a duck, it's a fucking duck. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. So.
By the way, if you're not keeping up to date on the story, the officer has been arrested and they're filing charges.
I read that earlier today. So he has been arrested, and hopefully, because we've seen it before, and I've said this before. I lost all faith in our fucking justice system after that fucking Casey Anthony trial. So so let's just hope that this one doesn't walk away.
All right, folks, we'll be right back in a second.
Starbucks had their hot coffee machine broken. So they only had cold coffee. I was like, how the fuck you gonna give me cold coffee in the morning?
That,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's like the time that I went to Church's Chicken. I never told you that?
All they had was steak fingers?
No. I went to Church's Chicken, and they didn't have chicken. She said, we ran out of chicken. I pulled up to the window, and I was like, what are y'all still doing open? You know what I'm saying? She offered me biscuits and fries.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, you don't know how much these people love this fucking corn on the cob, motherfucker. This shit's our biggest seller.
Oh, actually, Raising Cane sound good right about now. Oh, you can't have that. It's burning.
No. Dude, I'll be honest. I almost got tempted to try one of these like fucking cornstarch almond flour fucking mixes a while back. Cause I did a. You familiar with shepherd's pie?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. You know, you take the mashed potatoes, you do your crust out of all that, man. And I did one of those. It didn't come out the way I wanted to because I was. I think I got the mix wrong, and I was using like the powdered mashed potatoes, but like. It was, I just wanted something in that breaded sense, you know what I mean? And I've done baked chicken with like a little bit of the flake mashed potatoes with like, some fucking egg white or something like that to kind of, but not like a deep fry, man. And fuck, man. I saw something, man, just like that like fluffy fried chicken where it's almost got like you bite into it and almost like got a powdery to it. Like, fuck, I'm salivating right now just thinking about it, man.
It's like I saw the fucking for the first time because I knew you could do it. Right? I just never saw it done thoroughly. Mm-hmm. I saw for the first time them deep fry a whole chicken in the air fryer though. The fucking the actual the air fryer. And dude, it came out golden brown. That fucking thing looked delicious. And then what made me feel even better was that and it's a healthier option. I was like, that shit is fucking beautiful. Oh, Gordon Ramsay. It was one of the recipes that he.
By the way, something I was not made aware of, mainly because I've never.
Fuck, my mouth would just water. Fuck.
There's a lot of shit. Like, I've never fucked around with, like, a broiler just because I've never seen the point. Like, I understand when people, it's like, well, you get that, that quickness on the one side. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But honestly, I'd rather do it on the stovetop.
Honestly, I just learned not the benefit, but not the point either. The deliciousness is the best word that I can think of simmering a piece of steak, but you simmer it for like I want to say 10 minutes.
You mean like in a sauce?
No. So you cook the steak, right?
Oh, you mean sear?
No. Sear is when you fucking what do you call it?
We just kind of like flash heat it real hot.
Yeah. No, not that.
Okay.
This shit. So you cook your steak, right? However you want it. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I don't think rare would work, but say that you want it like medium rare, shit like that. So you cook it and you do all your spices and you do everything, but then you put the and it doesn't really work well on a pan. You have to do it on a deep pot. So you get a little bit of herbs, like raw herbs and shit, and you put it inside. You put the herbs inside, and you cover it, and then you put it on the lowest setting of your heat of your stove or whatever, and you leave it there. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And it gives it this. First of all, the taste, depending on what you like, but it's going to be very concentrated. So of course, to you, it's going to be delicious. Whatever taste whatever herbs you chose. But the tenderness, bro. Oh, that shit just breaks in your mouth.
Now, are we talking like a good like a sous vide type of like tenderness, or
It's just like, okay, have you ever had ribs where the meat just falls off the bone?
okay? You mean like almost like a brisket type of tender where it's just
bro.
coming apart? Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it just falls apart, dude.
okay.
It was delicious. So what I did, I put the lemon pepper a little bit because I don't want to.
Okay, how were you cooking this before you put it in the pan?
No. I was cooking it in the pan. So then I put it in the pot.
Okay, that's what I mean though. So you did a pan cook and then put it in the
Put
pot.
it in the pot.
Okay.
So then what I did was, I did the lemon pepper and shit, just to give it that taste. But I had some old, not really old, but like some past tangerines.
Mm-hmm.
So I peeled them,
Mm-hmm.
and then I squeezed the juice inside,
Mm-hmm.
and then the peels I just dumped them inside.
Okay.
So because the peels, I don't know if y'all know, and I'm not a chef. I'm just learning this shit. You understand me?
Right,
so, but I don't know if you know, but if you put the peels, not the juice gives it taste. But if you dump the peels inside, the peels give the steak that citrusy kick. It's a kick. When you bite into a piece, it like kicks you in the mouth. The good thing is that if you don't like the tangerine taste to stick around,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. It's the initial kick, but then after you chew it and you're enjoying it, you still get the taste of the steak. So you get a kick of tangerine, and then you get the taste of the steak.
Just a
And it was fucking delicious.
little tip in case you want to experiment with some of that stuff and have it, like if you like it and you want to stick around with it. I got this from somebody who was making lemon pepper, but basically you take the rind or the peel and stick it on like a cookie plate in the oven on like 100 degrees. You're basically dehydrating it, and then you take that and you can either like store it that way if you dried it out enough, or you can like take like a little grater, like one of those little and when they talk about like lemon zest or like orange zest or something, that's what they basically mean is you're taking a little bit of the peel.
Yeah.
Usually do it fresh, but you can use the dry stuff if you want to keep some like around in the fridge.
And then when you just open the pot, like initially, like the smell, it just fucking hits you in the face, and it's like, oh my, like when I started eating that steak, like my mouth immediately started having an orgasm. It's just, that's the best way that I can, but I do understand. Depending on your palate, I do understand that there's people that don't like citrusy food. So if you don't like citrusy food, you're gonna hate it. So don't, cause it is very citrusy. But I like, that's why I use lemon pepper and shit like that.
Right.
Because I like citrusy food. I like citrusy steak, chicken. But I'll be honest, I don't think I would do the tangerine peels with chicken. Cause I think that with chicken, because of the texture and the taste and the consistency,
Wouldn't work.
not that it wouldn't work, but I think, I've never tried it, but I think that the taste would be too much. It would overpower the taste of the chicken, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Steak, red meat has a very consistent, strong taste. So to overpower that is very hard. The only way you overpower with it, and I've never eaten it and I've never tried it, but from things I've read, is the only way to overpower the taste of red meat is with wine. I've heard that when you cook red meat with wine, not necessarily that it overpowers it, but it kind of simmers down the taste of
I've done,
but I've never done it, so I don't know.
and granted, this is with wine that's already kind of been like uncorked for a while, sitting around, so it may have already kind of gone a little bit bitter, but I've done stews with red wine and it didn't.
But stews are different though. No, I'm talking about when you do it with an actual piece of steak.
Okay, but
Because
that's what I'm
when you-
saying.
when
The
you- when you
meat
don't-
was cooked in with the red wine and all that.
But it's different though. Or at least I think it's different because then when you take that meat and then you put it into like the stew per se, you got to remember that I'm guessing you got to remember that you also did put a bunch of other stuff like vegetables and shit like that into the stew.
Right, but I'm saying the red wine actually was like more pronounced than it should have been.
Are we
Like
recording this shit?
You ask now? Yeah, man. We're
Oh, okay,
about,
just making sure.
we're about
Hey,
7
we're
minutes in,
back.
man.
We just got we fat asses when it comes to food, so we just got carried away with. I hope y'all took some less. Really, y'all. If y'all like citrusy food, trust me. Try that tangerine recipe I'm telling you about. Y'all are gonna enjoy it. And that's the other thing. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. About tangerine and steak. I've eaten steak for a long time, and I've tried different types of steak, and I've tried different herbs and spices with steak. Tangerine is the only spice, if you want to call it that, flavor, whatever, that I've used that actually really changes the taste of the meat, like drastically. Like it gives it a different taste. Lemon pepper doesn't really do that. It just kind of sort of tastes like lemon pepper. Like it's there. But there's something about the tangerine that changes the taste of the actual steak. Like it changes it. Again, depending on your palate. If we all have different palates, it might not change it for you either, but it changed it for me.
What I was going to get at was like I've used like citrus and fruit marinades for chicken and fish a lot. Like I'm big on using like lemon in with like the fish sauce or something like that. But to be honest, and the only thing I can think of would be the only time I've ever used like a citrus base with steak would probably be adding like either lime in with like a salsa afterwards, like for like barbecue and shit like that, or like a sauce on top, but not just not really incorporating it in with
the barbecue like on the meat and shit like that's good too, man. The only thing that sucks about barbecue on anything is just that it's too much sugar, bro.
We can have this discussion if you want, but there's I'm big on I like a sour barbecue sauce.
No. And I knew you were gonna say that because a lot of people have given me that. The thing is, because
it is hard to find one at the store that isn't fucking just loaded.
Exactly, but that's not even my point. That's where I was going. Even the soury, what you're saying. The thing is that because of how barbecue is made, like the barbecue sauce is made, there's still too much sugar in it. Or again, it just may be my palate that my palate just picks up the sugar in it, and it's just too much. That's probably also the reason.
A lot of barbecue sauces are like, for example, down here, you'll find a lot of stuff has like a molasses or like a honey base. Yeah. And don't be wrong, it was delicious, but
see, and that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of that shit. First of all, I don't like sweet and sour anything. That's me. I don't like sweet and sour anything. But that's also the reason why I don't like barbecue on anything.
Let me ask you this, man. You ever had like a mustard-based sauce or like?
I don't like it. I have.
Okay.
And I've also, you know how there's people when they barbecue, they mustard their shit with mustard?
Yeah.
Don't do that to my meat. I will punch you in the face. You understand me?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Now there's other people that make it even worse. In my personal point of view, not only do they do the mustard rub, but they rub ketchup. You seen that shit?
Just to be clear, because I was about to go to that point. When you say mustard rub, are you talking sauce or dry rub?
I've seen both.
Okay,
but the grosser one is the.
I'm not big on mustard on the sauce mustard sauce.
No, but I've seen people rub mustard, not something that contains mustard.
But I mean you can like powdered. You talking like mustard powder?
No, but also the.
Okay,
sauce.
I've seen that. That I don't approve of at all. Yeah. But like a dry mustard rub to me works
because it still gives it that mustard taste.
Oh yeah,
I don't like mustard on my meat. Is what the fuck I'm saying. You know?
Okay, I got you.
And then I've seen a gross motherfucker do that with ketchup. They actually put ketchup on the meat.
I will go so far as to say I have seen like what's that the Family Matters episode with the one idiot savant friend where he comes in, he's like, "Hey man, I'm trying to make this pasta sauce," and like the guy just like, "Get the fuck out the way," and he just like mixes up a sauce, and he's like, "Dude, that was ketchup 5 minutes ago." I've seen that in real life. Someone just kind of go, "Oh, we don't have sauce." Boom, boom, boom.
No, but I'm saying doing it to the meat.
Okay, not
meat
like
is what I'm saying.
No, if I saw somebody trying to add like Heinz, I mean maybe one of those spiced like the more complicated ketchups, you know what I mean? Because they make some stuff that you could, you mix a little bit of that with maybe like an A1, cut it down with whatever, your dilution, whatever you want to use.
Yeah.
Use some red wine. I don't know, but yeah, I could see that, man. But I get what you mean about like most people, even when they're making their own sauce, they're starting off with something that is loaded with a shitload of sugar, a shitload of salt.
And see, that's the thing with me and barbecue sauces. Like I said, I don't know if it's my palate, but I just taste the sugar. And when I tell you that I can taste the sugar, I can taste. I'm not saying it just tastes sweet. I could taste sugar in the fucking like barbecue sauce.
All right, I was actually having this conversation the other day. This is slightly tangential, but I think it goes kind of into this conversation, man. Is hot sauce. You've watched Hot Ones, right? We've talked about that.
Of course.
Okay. That whole issue, I haven't watched the latest seasons. I don't know if it's still a problem, but they had that issue where like the middle range sauces that were about like the 500 Scoville, 600, which is about where pepper spray is.
Yeah.
The problem was a lot of these companies don't use actual pepper. What they're adding is the straight like spice.
Yeah.
So you'd notice a lot of people would get to like that middle range and go, "Oh, this tastes horrible." But then you get up to like the crazier, million Scoville and shit, and they're like, "Oh, this is a good flavor and shit."
Yeah.
Because obviously the hobbyists are actually using like the actual peppers and shit like that.
That's another thing that a lot of people don't understand, and I get it. Some of y'all won't understand it if you haven't tried it, because you're just gonna think of it and you're gonna imagine some shit. The California Reaper. The chili pepper?
The Carolina or the California? Carolina was the original Reaper. I don't know if they got a new one.
No, Carolina. I'm sorry. The Carolina Reaper, the small red one.
Mm-hmm. That'll fuck up your week.
But that's what I was going to say. It's hot. Yes. This is what I want people to understand. It is fucking hot. But there's a big but in there. But it's not unless you've had it, you'll understand. Okay, let me rephrase that. Not unless you've had it with actual food, you won't understand. It's not as hot as they paint it to be in commercials and in videos. The reason that people go crazy and they can't stand it is because these fucking idiots are eating it by itself.
Right.
Any fucking pepper that you eat by itself, it's gonna burn your fucking face off. maybe not as bad as that, but it's gonna burn you pretty bad. My point is because I've actually, but then again, I'm Mexican, so I get it. It's kind of in our culture. Like, because I've tried,
And all the Indians in the crowd stood up.
I've tried,
And the Koreans were behind them.
I've tried a Reaper hot sauce, like an actual sauce that was made just with the Reaper and a half a teaspoon of oil. That's it. In a blender and a little bit of water, of course. Okay. And but that was it. And that
they weren't spicy. They weren't like seasoning it anyway. It was just straight pepper and
see, and it made my mouth water.
Okay.
I've had that. I had that with some tacos, like Mexican tacos. That was some of the most delicious tacos that I've ever had. Now, again, I need to reiterate this. Was it fucking hot? Yes. And was I sweating? Yes, I was. But I was not shitting my pants.
And I'm taking, from what you're saying, I'm taking that it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. That's what I'm saying. But I will say this. If you cannot stomach spices, yeah, you're probably going to burn your asshole off.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, there are levels to this shit. 2 points, man. Where I was getting to was the discussion I was having the other day was about like simplicity. One, I like a complicated hot sauce, man. Like,
you do eat hot stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you didn't.
Dude, that's the thing. We have not been out for like some proper fucking like grub, man. Usually when we're grabbing food, it's like fucking.
You're saying we?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying somebody else.
No,
sorry.
like
okay.
You and I. Like usually it's fucking IHOP or Denny's or fucking McDonald's.
By the way, that Colorado omelet though is calling me. Damn it,
you keep your moons over my hammy. I always love that.
So we haven't. You were saying we haven't been out for a proper meal. So
I was thinking we'd had the hot sauce conversation, but no.
So explain to me the Sean's proper meal.
Like for hot?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Now, do you make this?
I make hot food, but
no. What I said is, do you make the hot sauces or?
I have made. I have like. To be honest, I've never actually made like a hot sauce. I've got obviously I live out in the ranch country in the bushes, so like if I wanted to, on more than a few occasions, like I've when the
y'all seen Murder Mountain? Picture that without a mountain.
There are a lot of trees back there. We got the chili pequins, right?
Yeah.
And
by the way, that's not hot.
Huh?
That's not hot, but it depends what you can stomach again.
It also depends, dude. It depends on the season. Because here's the thing: we don't just have like there's the two. There's There's two different varieties. There's the older variety, which is I can't remember if that's the pequeño. And then there's another one, which is the little bird's eye fucking cherries. And they're pretty much the same. Flavor is similar, but they can vary widely in spice. You can have some that are just kind of stringent, and then you have some that will most definitely do some damage to you.
It's like people, and I get what you're saying, because it's like people that sleep on the serrano peppers. Serrano peppers, a lot of people say, man, those bitches ain't hot. But you get you the right one, that shit will burn your asshole off.
Here's the thing, man. I actually prefer the serrano for like a pico de gallo rather than a jalapeno.
Well, that's what you're supposed to see. That's the thing. And I'm not being racist. It's sad that I have to say that. But when you have a real Mexican household make the pico de gallo, we know that you're supposed to make it with serrano peppers. If you're making it with jalapenos, you're white somewhere down there. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but
to be honest, man, I think it's
because that was something. That's a recipe actually that was more so created like on this side of the border, like here in Texas and in the U.S.
I was going to say the Tex-Mex thing has more to do it with the preference for jalapenos, because I've eaten like in family households where like the jalapeno is the pepper of choice. You know what I mean? Like occasionally you'll see a serrano lying around for something.
But it's because the thing for a lot of people, including like in our family, the jalapeno, we know that it's more of the generic spice, the generic go-to pepper.
Well, the other thing, that's the thing for me is I don't like raw jalapeno because it just doesn't have. It just tastes like
I don't either. So
it's just way too green.
Yeah, and the taste.
I like to cook with it though.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying because I don't like raw. I don't like raw peppers. Period. Anyone like I'll never grab one and just eat and bite without like raw, like my mom used to do it. Because I don't mind the hotness. The hotness is good. It's just, I do it for the taste. The taste is not good. The taste tastes leafy, tastes like a fucking pepper.
Right.
So I'm like you. I like, let it be hot, but we gonna cook it. We gonna heat it. We gonna do something to it because I want the taste, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't like that green, leafy taste, you know what I'm saying?
And again, I thoroughly enjoy the jalapeno, and it's right. For example, the kind of hard to do the bacon wrap, cream cheese with a serrano, right?
Yeah.
But I remember for a while, man, probably over like a 6-month period or so, me and my boy were going back and forth. Like I'd go over to his house and barbecue, and then like the next time, like I'd bring some meat, whatever. Anyway, we were going back and forth on making the wraps, and we slowly just started like adding the seeds into the cream cheese, you know what I mean? And just kind of kicking it up. And I think we finally got to the point where it was like, oh, we weren't even taking the seeds out. We just realized like, oh, you just like, if you cook them longer, that greenness, that over jalapeno flavor just kind of goes away, and the spice is still there. You're still fucking sweating and breathing and shit. Yeah. But fuck, it's good, man. When it's just the flesh is softened up.
But by the way, peppers like the ones that we're talking about, in case you don't know, they boost and strengthen the shit out of your immune system naturally. Just fun fact for you.
My uncle used to be big into. At least I remember him. He may have been fucking around with us, man. But I remember when we were kids, he'd talk about like, "Oh, I feel the cold coming on. I gotta get some Korean noodles, man." And like, I remember him always joking about that. And then one time I went and had Korean noodles with the motherfucker, and it was big ass bowl like that.
Yeah. Honestly, I've never. I've heard of them plenty, but I've never had a bowl of Korean noodles, and I want to.
It's kind of like udon.
How do
or at least I would compare it to udon.
Well, I was gonna say not. I was gonna say not just because they're hot, but yeah, it's because they're hot. That's why I want to have them. But I'm doing it. I know that because a lot of people say that they're really hot, but I want to do it more so because of the taste. I want to know because people have told me that Korean spicy noodles taste delicious. This is exactly what they've told me. They told me that they taste delicious if you can withstand the heat. That's what I've been told. So that's what has me curious as into trying them. So that's on my but see, I want to find and it's hard here, but I want to find authentic Korean.
To be honest, what you're more likely to find is either like a ramen shop or like a really good just Pan Asian market type of thing. There used to be a spot over on, I think it's a lawyer's office now. It used to be on McCall and La Vista. I don't know if you know where that little spot is, man. But there was a place right there on the corner at the end of that little shopping center.
Yeah.
They had the restaurant right there on the corner. So, big window, you can see the road. And then next to it, they had the full market where you walk in there and there's just dried lizards on the fucking shelf. It was legit as fuck, man. But that was the last place I had the Korean noodles. And that was shit, 10 years back or so.
Yeah.
But that was just like a Pan-Asian type of thing. It was mostly, Chinese food with a little bit of everything. I mean, honestly, that's probably the closest you're going to get down here.
And see, that's my other problem, that I don't like Oriental food at all. So that's why there's a lot of shit that I haven't, you know what I'm saying? Because I've had Chinese food, I've had Japanese food, and when I say that I've had, I mean like I've tried. I've had Pakistani food. That's the blue onion, right? The blue onion is Pakistani food.
I don't know.
Oh, you never been
I
to
don't
the
think
Blue
I've ever
Onion?
been to the Blue Onion.
Oh, okay. I think the Blue Onion is Pakistani food, and that other place on 2nd Street in Olana is Indian food. Or I might have them vice versa. But I've had those. And when I say that I've had them, I mean like I've tried them. But I gotta be honest, like I don't like them. I don't like the combinations. I don't like the consistency. I don't like the texture, and the same thing with Oriental food. I just don't. I don't. And that's why I've given it plenty of tries, and it's not for me. It's not. I don't, and that maybe that's why it's been even harder for me to come across like the Korean noodles. But I'll be honest, the Korean noodles I will try. So if y'all know where I can find some closest at least to authentic, y'all let me know. I'd like to try them.
We'll have to put that one out there. Just to put it out there, since we have kind of bouncing around a little bit. And if anybody has listened into the second hour of this episode, you can give us some feedback. Well, we have talked about doing that, doing some local food reviews and shit like that. Oh, man,
that would be awesome. That's still on the table. But it looks like before we can actually get that going, we're going to need some sponsors to help us out a little bit, because fuck, it can get a little pricey just shooting every episode. So, sponsors are greatly appreciated anytime.
Hey, you know anybody with a restaurant, tell them to get at us.
For damn sure. I've been tempted, man. I've been to a couple of local spots, and I've been tempted to ask, but I'll be honest, a lot of the spots that I've been to are like real, like Mexican. So I don't think they would fully comprehend what we would be trying to do. So I would really need to sit down with somebody that would really understand. You know, we have this podcast. We're going to come up in here with cameras and shit, because this is what we're doing. And I would need them to understand so that they could be on board. I just have the feeling that if I go up in there like that, they're going to be like... There's something that terrifies... There's something about a camera that just fucking... I've noticed that just terrifies the shit out of people, which I never really understood.
Well, not to, pull back the curtain too far on the whole Wizard of Oz here, but like, I mean, as we kind of talked about when we were talking about it, like, look, we'd pay for the food ourselves and be honest as fuck about it, but you invite us in, we'll find something nice to say about your place.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's still in the works.
Besides, that'd be a great episode, just handing the money back and being like, that was dog shit.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll eat this one, dog. I mean, we'll eat the cost, but we ain't gonna eat the food. I'm trying to remember how we got here on this conversation.
Oh, because we started talking about steak.
Yeah. Dude, if you notice, like half of our conversations about nutrition are about either fasting or as much food as possible.
Pretty much. There's no in between. Either you're going to stuff your face and die, or not eat and possibly die.
You know what? To be honest, that is one of the things that is, I think drew me to the whole, the intermittent fasting and shit like that. Because for a long time there was that kind of like nagging idea of like, either I'm eating or I'm not eating, because I remember reading that shit back in the day where it was like, you should be snacking throughout the day to keep your metabolism moving. And that kind of
it's because it's because
I think it's for different things. If you're doing something where you can maintain your body that way, if you're in constant motion and shit like that.
That's the thing about nutrition. there's a lot of things that work, but it depends on what you want them to work for. You know what I'm saying? So that thing of like keeping your metabolism working is good too, because you're like the main premise of that is to keep the calories moving, because the quicker you burn calories,
Right.
the quicker you're also going to burn fat. You
Well,
know what I'm saying?
To be honest, when it finally kind of, because like I said, it always kind of nagged me. And one of the explanations that kind of explained why it was nagging me was the idea of like, okay, say with the intermittent fasting, where it's like you're basically telling your body, if I have fat reserves, if you need something, fucking use it. You know what I'm saying? It's basically like telling your kids there's fucking food in the fridge, stop bugging me.
And when you, and that's the thing, that's the other thing that people don't know about intermittent fasting, or they don't understand. There's a lot of health benefits. It's abundant, but one of the main reasons as to why, I don't do it for that reason, but one of the main reasons as to why people choose to intermittent fast is because you're giving your digestive tract and your metabolism, you're giving them a break, because your internal organs are like everything else. You can't have them just work and work and work and work and work, because eventually they can give you problems as well, because you overwork them. So you do intermittent fast just to kind of give your system a break. And along with giving it a break, intermittent fasting is a great way of, and I've explained this before, this is the best way I can explain it. It's a great way of hitting the reset button on your system, period. You're hitting the reset button on your digestive tract. You're hitting the reset button on your immune system. You're hitting the reset button on your, I didn't even know this until recently, a couple of months ago. You're even giving, hitting the reset button on your whole, cardiovascular system, by doing the intermittent fasting, because there's, and I can't break down the whole science, but there's a lot of shit that happens in that 16-hour window that you're giving your body. There's a lot. That's the reason why one of the most important things that you should do in that 16-hour window is water. Drink plenty of water, because water is the gas that keeps shit going, as far as like it's going to keep cleansing, it's going to keep doing basically everything that it's going to keep doing. But if you stop the water, you're kind of, it's like a double negative. If you stop the water, you're making your organs work harder, and that's what you're trying not to do by fasting. So that's like that 16-hour window is very crucial to keep everything in operation the way it should be. Now, the other misconception with the 8-hour window that you eat, that you're supposed to eat, because I made this mistake too. People think that in that hour window you can do whatever the fuck you want, but that you should eat anything and everything just because you have that 8-hour window, which again, technically you can, but I, as well as like professionals, they don't recommend it. Like what I mean is, within that hour window, don't go carb overloading with a whole bunch of fucking bread, with a whole bunch of processed food, with a whole bunch like fast food and shit like that, because then you kind of just defeated the purpose of everything that just happened in the 16-hour window. So you should eat it as feeding time, but you have to try to eat as clean as you possibly can in that 8-hour window, which is normally what they recommend is high protein, low carb. And again, you don't have to be drastic about it either. You don't have to cut out.
I know a lot of people take low carb to mean no carb.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to. And again, I did that. I for a long time I was like high protein, no carb. You need the carbs for energy.
If you've ever seen any of those episodes from last summer where Freddy looked a little mad on camera.
Yeah, I was starving. Well, I mean, I'm always starving, but it was way worse. Yeah, so just you need carbs for energy as an energy source. Just don't overdo it with the fucking carbs. A good number to play with that I've found that it kind of works for me is try to keep it under 1,800 calories in that 8-hour window. Now, if you can manage to eat really clean, meaning like a lot of like protein like fish and chicken and red meat and yogurt and vegetables, you can go higher as far as like 2,000 calories and stuff like that. But they gotta be like clean calories. Cause if not, if you start stuffing your face with 2,000 and 3,000 calories, but it's all a bunch of shit that you just dumped into your body, you defeat the purpose of the sacrifice that you did for 16 hours.
Yeah.
So,
To be honest,
these are all mistakes that I personally made and I learned.
I was going to say, I think one of the things I'm still trying to work out as far as balancing that how much carbs, I mean, how many calories you're going to take in versus what kind of calories, as far as macro, fats, proteins, carbohydrates, all that shit. I do find if I keep it, I'm trying to remember where I came across that, where they had they were linking to some studies about the hunger issue, where it's like, okay, if I eat, like you were talking about a 12-ounce steak earlier, man, if you go for 12 ounces of steak and maybe, another 6 ounces of whatever your side is, your greens or something like that, and keep it simple, you're more quickly going to reach that satiation point. You know what I mean? Especially if you're just going like steak. You know what I mean?
Another thing real quick that I want to throw in there, another major factor that you have to factor into the calories that you're intaking, a lot of people tend to forget that you also have to take into consideration that your body is burning calories. Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, you're constantly burning calories. So, and even more so if you exercise, you're gonna burn even more calories. So you have to take into consideration the calories that you're also burning when you're intaking the 1,800 to 2,000 calories that I'm telling you about. So all I'm trying to say with that black and white is that if you're exercising like vigorously, like an hour a day, because an hour a day is considered vigorous, then at that point is when you have a bit more leeway, as in the calorie intake that you're gonna take in that 8-hour time. But I still don't let off the fact that you still can't let it be all shit. Like, you can't stuff your face with pasta and bread and shit like that.
Right. And I remember reading a lot of this when I first started getting into the keto and the fasting stuff. There is some indication that if you're in like a ketogenic type of state, you could pretty much throw as much fat as you wanted to into your diet and you just end up shitting out the rest.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's one, you're wasting food at that point. And the other issue, I think we were talking about this at one point, if your body's not quite used to the higher protein amounts, it will, rather than, breaking down the protein and using it like that, it'll break it down to sugar and then, carbs so it can store it and all that shit.
Exactly. So that's why it's good to take some type of CLA. If y'all don't know what CLA is, and I'm gonna break it down to like stupid terms, CLA is all it does. It's a pill, powder. It comes in pill, powder, whatever. But what that is, long story short, it helps your body retain the protein, the pure protein that you got from the food, so that you don't shit it out. Okay. And so that your body actually uses it. there's a catch. Like I said, with everything, unfortunately. The catch with using a CLA is that if you don't do some kind of workout activity while you're taking your CLA, unfortunately, the CLA stays in your body with the protein, but the difference is that the body's going to use your protein, but it doesn't use the CLA that you didn't burn, so that turns into fat, and that's what sucks. So you kind of have to work out so you can burn off the CLA and it doesn't stay in your body. I mean, you shit and you piss some of it out, but you don't piss all of it out if you don't like work out, because the CLA sticks to your body fat. So you have to work out, so you can dump that out, and so that you can so your body keeps the protein. So
yeah, I never looked into the CO. I did look into some. I'm trying to remember the exact phrase for it, but it's basically like precursor proteins and shit. So it's like I think it was L-glutamine or something like that.
Yeah, L-glutamine.
And
what about it though?
Well, I was taking it because it was suggested for when you're first starting the fasting. It basically helps kill the hunger, because like your body can just take that protein and make, hormone or whatever the fuck it needs. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes, okay, I can use this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So the idea being that it would not, you're not just taking in like excessive amounts of protein that your body may or may not be able to use when you are breaking your fast. So you can just take this one protein, and then if you're still getting...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it's kind of a way to go like, is this what, like with a B12 or something like that, where you go, is this what I'm missing? And then like if it works, it works. Or if it's not, then you kind of go, okay, well then I need to change something else about the diet.
Yeah.
I stopped taking that stuff like years ago because mainly I got used to the fasting, which is where I was going to get to, man. The other thing is we've talked about this before, the breaking and ending of that fasting period. I usually have an issue where I'll eat once, and I tend to do better when I just eat once, because like I'll be a little bit hungry later, but it's a hunger where I can go, I'll drink some water or something like that, and I'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas I find that if I'm doing like small meal, okay, it's I need to break the fast already, and I eat a small meal here, and then I'll eat maybe like a, snack or something like that throughout. It gets a lot. The hunger cravings don't necessarily get more intense, but for some reason, I guess maybe it's psychologically, I just go, fuck it, I'll just eat a little bit of something else. And then, next thing I know, I'm 3 or 4 hours past when my window should have closed, and I'm still kind of munching on stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm still not quite sure if it's a psychological thing or if it's that whole aspect of your body, when it has the variety, you don't reach the satiation point. It's like every new thing you eat starts you from zero again.
Well,
it's like I had enough steak, but I haven't had enough candy.
Yeah. And it's just your body will get used to. It all comes down to calories, man. Your body will get used to the calorie intake that you adjusted to. So real quick, very easy, simple example. If you train your body I'm not recommending you do this. It's just a fucking example. If you train your body just to consume 1,000 calories in a 24-hour period, again, the amazing thing of the anatomy of our fucking body. Our body has something that you can call like an internal clock that after, and doesn't happen in a day, it doesn't happen in 2 days, it takes some time. But eventually, your body learns that, hey, we're only gonna get 1,000 calories today. So like everybody else tells you, use it wisely. So your body, that's what it does. It knows that it's only gonna have 1,000 calories. So it learns to work with 1,000 calories. in a 24-hour period. So then after a while, your body doesn't tell you, hey, I'm hungry. Like, well, what's going on? Because it has learned to preserve and distribute 1,000 calories within a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
After that 24-hour period, your body's going to be like, hey, man, we need some more shit. Like, what's going on? Now, and it works both ways. If you fucking accustom your body to 5,000 calories in a 24-hour period, that's why you motherfuckers are hungry all the fucking time. Because it needs to hit that 5,000 calorie mark within 24-hour period. Going back, now I remember why I brought the internal cycle shit. The internal clock thing is because somehow your body then knows that after 24 hours, it's like, okay, we're ready for 5,000 more calories, or we're ready for our next 1,000 calories or whatever. And it learns to be adjusted. The final thing that I want to tell y'all, and again, don't take it from me. Ask your doctor. I don't want you fucking dying and then you blame me.
Show up there and they're like, who the fuck told you this? Freddy!
Exactly.
Tell Freddy to shut the fuck up.
So, what a lot of people don't understand is that you do not fucking need a lot. Your body, your organs, your heart, your everything, they do not need a lot of calories to survive and stay healthy. You'd be surprised at the amount of calories that you can intake on a daily basis, and you'll be perfectly fine. The reason,
just want to stick a caveat in there, man. And you mentioned this earlier, man, but it also depends on what you're asking your body to do.
Exactly.
If you got a desk job, sub 1,000 calories will do you good.
That's what I was gonna say. It also depends on what you do, but what I'm saying is that the bigger point that I was leading to is that, unfortunately, because we live in one of the fattest nations in the world, we have accustomed ourselves and our body to tell it that, hey, you need a shitload of fucking food in that belly just so you can survive. That is not, and then your mind tells your body that, and your mind, like, there's actually psychological proof that your mind, not your body, your mind starts telling your body that that's what you need. When honestly, your mind doesn't really know what your physical body like really needs. It's telling it. But the only one aside from you that knows what your body needs is your body. You know what I mean? So you don't need a shitload of fucking calories. Now, like Sean said earlier, and like I said earlier, if you're doing a lot of fucking activity and burning off a lot of fucking calories, well then you need to find that balance. But even that, it's not extremely difficult because, and I'm gonna give you a very, very simple, vague but simple example. I guarantee you that it's difficult to find a human being that every single 24 hours they burn 5,000 calories. I guarantee you that, not unless you're a superb athlete and that's what you do for a living. I guarantee you're not gonna burn. And I'm talking about burn, not consume, not intake, none. You're not gonna burn more than 4, 5, 6,000 calories in a day. And that also depends on your weight. So if you're a small motherfucker, like if you weigh 120, 130, even up to like 150, you're not going to burn a shitload of calories in a day. When you're extremely fat, you can burn a shitload of calories in a day. But I'm just being honest with you when I say this. Your ass probably needs to burn those calories anyway. So what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to be a dick. But what I'm saying is, if you burn those calories off, you'll be fine. You're not gonna die.
Well, and I think we've touched on this before, man, but a lot of the issues with, say, overconsumption and even the obese.
There's a McDonald's in every fucking corner in this nation.
Well, here's the thing, man, is McDonald's has, sugar.
I'm kidding, McDonald's. I still want your money. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Look, man, again, the variety thing, every time you put something new in there, your body kind of resets to zero. It goes, I've got a new score bar I got to fill up or whatever. There is definitely an aspect of, say, sugar, MSG, various, high fructose corn syrup, for example, as opposed.
That's a killer, bro.
But here's the thing, as opposed, like regular sugar will cause a, what's the word I'm looking for here? It'll cause you to store fat. Like it'll make that process happen. But my understanding with the high fructose or the fructose as opposed to the sucrose is that the fructose causes your body to, it ups your, I'm losing all my terms here. It causes you to store fat at a higher rate. It also causes you to want more.
Not only that, but the other thing that fructose does, it causes you to retain it has a lot of sodium.
Yeah.
So in turn it causes you to retain a lot of water.
Well, a lot of that has doesn't just have to do with the sodium, but also has to do, that can exacerbate it, but it causes your body to store all of that sugar. Your body won't burn it.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That because of that, your body will not throw it out. It won't get rid of it. It causes a store, and then that's why you have a lot of we have a lot of problems getting rid of the weight.
Well, if you ever want to do an experiment, just if you find yourself up late at night, drink a 20 ounce of fucking Coca-Cola, and I guarantee you, when you wake up in the morning, you probably won't have to piss, but you will feel dehydrated as fuck. And that's because your body just took all that water that you had and just used it to make more fat cells. That's
exactly. And that's good. Well, I mean, that's also because of the amount of sugar that's in that shit.
Right. And like you said, the sodium as well. And to be honest, more and more, it does seem to me that cause I grew up with a bunch of older people that were all watching the salt and all that, and the food was bland. And
a lot of people don't know, man. A lot of people don't know as well that salt, I mean, plain and simple, everything in excess is bad. I get it. Yeah. But in theory, and I mean, you have to read and do your research, and then you can make your own fucking assumption. But I'm just telling you off of the shit that I've read and the shit that I've researched. Sugar is way worse than salt when it comes to fat. Like when it comes to putting on weight and not being able to get rid of it. I mean, they both play a factor, but sugar is way worse. Honestly, a lot of doctors say that sugar is the killer because it's harder. Basically, again, long story short, it's harder for your body to get rid of sugar, like completely, than it is for it to get rid of salt. They're both bad, but sugar is the worst. When it comes to obesity, fat, storing fat, not being able to get rid of it, blood circulation, all of that shit.
Well,
all of
part
that
of the
shit,
thing
like,
is
factors into
your salt levels can affect how your body functions in terms of like the efficiency of certain processes, whereas sugar will literally make your body change its function. It'll go from digesting, whatever you've put in there before, and it'll just go, ooh, sugar. And it'll, up your blood sugar. It'll start making fat cells.
And eventually, sugar will cut off your limbs and shit. So, go figure.
Well, the doctor will cut off your limb, but sugar will make the suggestion. It'll be like, cut here.
Look, man, I ain't making fun of anybody that have had diabetes or anything. I'm just saying that shit is serious enough to, take care of yourself. And I'm not talking to the people that already don't truthfully, they actually don't love themselves. If you don't love yourself, then I get it. if you don't love yourself and you want to die, I mean, that's your personal choice. I'm not telling you to do it. That's something that you're already doing on your own.
Just a little food for thought, but, the amount of, say, McDonald's it would take to kill you versus heroin?
Yeah, that's a very good fucking example. I don't remember which one, but I once watched a documentary where they actually used that from a study, and it's actually a fact. I don't remember if they said, well, I mean, it's probably the same fucking thing, but they either said that McDonald's either was just as bad as heroin, or I don't remember if they said that McDonald's was just as addictive.
I think it's
heroin.
addictive.
Addictive, right?
Yeah.
Is addictive as heroin.
And that goes to what I was saying as far as the additives, the sugar, the salt levels and stuff like that.
Because
like your body wants that stuff. It really does want it. It's not like you're tricking it into wanting something that it doesn't, already have some use for. You know what I'm saying? Like your body uses sugar for a reason because it's easy. It's simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we've all had those mornings where you get up kind of feeling a little bit, not quite there.
Yeah.
You have some piece of food, maybe toast or something.
Which was what brings me to my next point with what I was saying right now.
We are coming up on the end here, so I'll let you get the last word in here, man.
Got you. Real quick, shout out to Netflix real quick. There is an awesome documentary on Netflix. There's like 10 episodes, I think. All the episodes are great, but because of the fact of like what we're talking about, I strongly encourage you to go watch. It's called History 101. So, watch History 101, but watch the episode of fast food. That's what the fuck it's called. It's called Fast Food. And basically the premise of the episode, it shows you the fast food industry from the very first day that it started to where it is now. And they really fucking go into like detail on the good side of it and on the horrible side of it. And then it just kind of leaves you to make the choice.
I know I said I'd let you get to the last one, but there's a mini documentary I watched on YouTube about the history of the McRib. And
okay.
Dude, the science, I mean, if you're a little bit paranoid about like engineered food, it'll scare the fuck out of you, but you probably weren't eating the McRib anyway. But like the science that actually went into it, like the amount of like actual thought and effort that went into this piece of shit sandwich was fascinating as fuck. I mean, it really is. Yeah.
But yeah, with that thought, if you appreciate your health, go watch that episode, Fast Food, and I get it. There's gonna be people that I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna stuff my face with Big Macs until I die. Fun fact: when you watch that, you're gonna find a very truthful fact in that episode. I'll fucking spoil it for you. There is a gentleman that holds the record for eating the most proven Big Macs in his lifetime, and he's like 77 years old, I think. So and it's an enormous fucking amount. So just go check it out. Yeah. I spoiled most of it for you, but you'll still be fucking dumbfounded.
I would like to say I think McDonald's are bastards for various reasons, but Morgan Spurlock is a bit of an asshole, and that whole fucking was it Super Size Me or whatever was bullshit. It was fascinating. I like Morgan Spurlock for the entertainment factor, but yeah, look, McDonald's isn't going to kill you on the face of it. It's just, if you're going to have a Big Mac, maybe take out the third piece of bread. You know what I'm saying? I understand a sandwich, but you don't need the middle. Anyway, let them know where you're at, Freddy.
Y'all can still find me on Instagram. If the other avenues open up, I will let you know when they open up. Until then, just Instagram at Freddy G at Instagram.
Oh, by the way, I think Facebook is getting pissy that you haven't been on in a while. I was trying to tag you in something earlier, and it was like, Freddy who? I had to like go in and actually type in the fucking address. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Facebook, but quit your piece of shit algorithm.
Zuck, it ain't like that, baby. Come on.
Yeah, please. Y'all need to stop with that wacky ass algorithm. It's pissing me off.
You ain't gonna get me with your free coupons. Like, yeah, we'll give you $30 worth of advertisement. Just give us your credit card. If you want to find me, as always, hatfieldstandup@gmail.com, as well as Hatfield Standup on Facebook and Twitter. Not on the Instagram yet. Eyeballing the Pornhub again, but that's for other reasons. If you'd like to find any of the audio versions of this podcast, you can go to shoutengine.com/bouncing brains. You can also find us on Stitcher under Bouncing Brains. You can listen to old and new episodes on rgvtitanradio.com. New episodes every Friday. I believe they're still playing the old catalog. I'm not sure what the schedule is at the moment. They're making some few changes. They've brought back the live DJs. That's always cool. Go over there and check them out, of course. Stitcher, blah, 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 blah. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube under Bouncing Brains. Go and search. As Freddy is always joyous to point out, we are the first result if you search for Bouncing Brains on Google. So that's sweet. We are
on YouTube.
On YouTube, that's right.
You said Google.
I think Google might still take us to...
I wish we would be the first result on Google. That would mean big shit if we were the first fucking result on Google if you put in Bouncing Brains, but I'm pretty sure we're not.
Yeah, it might still be the techno podcast that's no longer playing. We got a weird comment. This is a little bit of an odd thing we're closing out right here, but we got a comment from some Russian kid who does game reviews. If you're listening, whatever the hell your name is, we can be friends, I guess. Like the video next time, man. Comments are good, but gotta
likes are better.
Yeah. Didn't even subscribe, motherfucker. But yeah, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on, again, Shout Engine, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We have some things coming up. We're going to start doing some live casts. We're working on it. Obviously, the schedule is getting back to normal. They're going to make Freddy go back to work. You poor bastard, you.
Yeah, so this shit needs to take off quick.
Give us some money, goddammit. By the way, I would like to say thanks to, and go check them out. They've been doing some good stuff. Set Up Punch Productions. They're going to be doing a Zoom show this weekend that I'm going to be a part of. Some good folks out of San Antonio. I think I may have mentioned him an episode back. Al Gonzalez is hosting the shows. Funny dude. I believe that's it, folks. Thank you for listening.
And until next time, keep it tight.